In this movie, we'll talk about placing instances using your loop. If you're following along, we're using the same file from the last movie. If you're just coming in right now, you can find this file inside of the 6-10 folder in the Chapter 6 Exercise Files folder. After Add Child Border, press Enter on your keyboard, and then let's set the border X position. So type border.x space equals space. Then we'll have the X position equal I space asterisk space 75 and then a semicolon. This will enable us to place our instances dynamically. I will be different every time this loop runs. So it'll start at 0. So the X will be 0 times 75, which is 0. The next time it will be 1 times 75, and then 150, and then 225, etc., etc. So let's test the movie. And Flash has placed the instances for us. Now what we'll do is make the border fly off of the slope. So let's close out that window, close the Actions panel. Now, how do you get the border starting position at the top of the slope? The fastest and easiest way to do it is just to drag an instance out of the library and place them exactly where you want them. I'm going to use the keyboard down and right arrows to place them. That looks good. And then just take a note of the X and Y position. That'll be an X of 127 right here, and then a Y of 271. We'll just truncate that number. We don't need the 0.1. So at this point, you can take a second to write down those numbers. And then just select your instance and delete it off the stage. We don't need it anymore. Go back to your Actions panel. Just make sure you're on the first keyframe of the Actions layer. Now, instead of just defining the variables inside of the loop, we need to create variables that hold the X and Y positions outside of the loop, or at least give them initial values, so the first border will be placed in the exact right spot, and then we can increment however we want. So after the first line of code, I'm going to press Enter on my keyboard, then I'm type var and then a space, then we'll create a variable to hold the border's X position. So type border, capital X, colon, number with a capital N, space equals space, and then we'll set the initial X value of our border. And that was the same thing we wrote down earlier, which was 127. Now let's just select this line of code, press Ctrl or Command C on your keyboard to copy it, go to the next line, press Ctrl or Command V to paste that code. Change the capital X to a capital Y, and change the number 127 to the Y position we took down earlier, which was 271. Now let's go inside of our loop. So inside of our loop, we'll set the border's X position to the border X. So instead of I times 75, I'm just going to type border, capital X. Let's copy and paste that line of code. So select that line, Command C or Control C on your keyboard. Go to the next line, paste it using Command or Control V. Change the X's to Y's, make sure the casing is the same. Now if you test the movie, all the instances are placed in the same spot. So now all we need to do is every time the loop runs, we need to add something to the X and Y values to space these out. After we set the border Y, let's go to the next line and then type border, capital Y, space, minus, equals, space. This will subtract something from its current value. So I'm going to type here 100. Let's do the same thing on the next line for the border X. So type border, capital X, space. Instead of minus, we're going to use plus, because minus will make them go up. We want to make them go to the right, so we'll use plus equals space 100 and a semicolon. Now test the movie. And behold, if you pull out your movie, scale it up a little bit, you can see all the borders. If you want them all on the screen at the same time, you can just increment by a lower number. Let's go for 75. So I'm going to change both of those 100s to 75s. And there we go. Let's just close this window. You can feel free to change the 75s to whatever you want. And this is kind of the process that you go through. You can perfect your spacing in this way. So just change the numbers to wherever you want, whatever makes you happy. Now let's make him do a backflip. So now we're going to create a new variable to hold the rotation property. So after line 3, when we declare the border Y variable, let's go to the next line, create a new variable, and call it border, capital R. And that'll be for rotation. Type colon, that's going to be a number as well, with capital N, space equals space, 0. We don't want him to rotate at all at first, because if he's flipping while he's still in the snow, that's actually a fall and not a flip. So let's start him at the rotation of 0, and then when he's in the air, we'll start him rotating. Let's go down to our for loop. After we set the border Y property in line 11, press enter, type border dot rotation space equals space, border, then a capital R, then a semicolon. Now, in order for the rotation to change, we'll have to add to it each time this loop runs. So after we add 75 to the border X inside of the code loop, let's press enter and type border, capital R, space, minus equals, I'm typing minus so he does a backflip, space, then 45. And type a semicolon, and then test the movie. And the border is doing a backflip. So if you wanted to modify the alpha or any other property, this is how you do it. Just create a variable to hold it, then every time the loop runs, set the value, and then increase or decrease the value however you want. And that is how to place instances using code.